So we're talking about Disney, and this fascinating article came out from Variety, where Disney is asking the studios, how do we get Gen Z boys back? Or they're asking them to develop new properties, because Disney's basically admitting, hey, we've lost this audience. Our properties aren't working, namely Marvel and Star Wars. What can we do? We need you guys to do something to help us get these boys. So we're going to be talking about what's kind of happened. And for specifics, Gen Z is described as anyone age 13 to 28. So that kind of late or like mid, like 1998 to 2012 or so, that age range. So this is a real fascinating thing, and it gives us a lot of insight into the struggles of Disney and of kind of young people today. But what was your initial reaction to this, Zach?
So I think the funny thing about Disney trying to get young boys on like back into the studio and back into their properties is Disney has struggled with this for a very long time. For a really long time. Disney can snap its fingers and get girls to watch Disney content, right? Like they have no shortage of young women who are watching Disney princesses up and coming. Like that stuff works great. But young men is hard. And it's funny because like 20 years ago, they were dealing with this problem when they had the Disney Channel, right, on cable. And they made Disney XD, which was a new spin-off channel of Disney Channel that would be more like teens and young boys. And yeah, it's going to be, ask your parents for permission to go to the website. And then like that kind of worked okay, but didn't really go anywhere. And then they bought Marvel and damn Star Wars, right? Like, which are very boy properties. And then they kind of burned Star Wars out, and now they're kind of burning Marvel out, and they're coming back up on this same problem again. They just can't seem to figure out how to get people back in. And it's funny because like it seems all too obvious to the rest of us. Like you need to foster the properties that bring this audience in and grow that, but they just seem to struggle with that. And I'm looking forward to kind of talking about why.
Right. So part of this that's fascinating is that the Gen Z age is real interesting, because if you're on the older side, let's say 27, 28, you would have been like 10 years old whenever Marvel first started in 2008, 2010, around there. And you would have been at the perfect time for that golden age of the MCU up through 2019. But if you're any younger than that, if you're like anywhere from like 5 to 10 years younger than that, you would have missed it. Like if you were 5 years old in 2008, you're probably too young to watch Iron Man. Maybe you catch up later, but there's a good chance that you just kind of missed the whole MCU. So really, Disney only had kind of the older half of Gen Z for a little bit, and most of those people have just grown up out of this because it's Disney. It's a kid's property, and after Endgame, a lot of people just kind of stopped watching Marvel. But also, Disney didn't lose the younger generation, like the young Gen Z. They never had them to begin with. One of the things that the article mentions is that a lot of younger Gen Z people they just don't go to the theaters much. And what they do is they're into video games a lot more. They're into internet culture. This is also the generation that had to suffer through the worst parts of COVID and like doing high school at home or middle school at home, those sorts of things. So they have kind of just had an online life their entire lives, and that's how they've connected with their friends. And so things like, again, video games and online culture has kind of pulled in that younger generation, and Disney never got them at all. And now they're just like panicking about, what do we do? Our golden gooses of Marvel and Star Wars aren't working on the youth. So what do we do now? They're begging the studios for something.
It's so funny, too, that you mentioned video games. Just this morning, I was listening to the last chapter of Blood, Sweat, and Pixels, which is a book by Bloomberg reporter Jason Schreier about the video game industry, and specifically crunch in the video game industry and how difficult it is to create real outstanding video games, right? Things like Halo and Call of Duty, right? And some more specific cases in there. And the last chapter of that is about a game called Star Wars 1313, which is a game that LucasArts, was making for a really long time before Disney bought Star Wars for $4 billion and took the wind out from under them. And a bunch of the team left and some stayed on. And then ultimately Disney brings down the axe and goes, hey, we're canceling your game. You guys spent 2 years and you spent like $230 million making a game. We're just not going to make it. And it's like, it's where young boys are, Disney. They play video games like Star Wars 1313. That thing got so many views at E3 that year. Everybody wanted that, and you just killed it because you just didn't really get it. And they were like, well, we want to focus on social content, and we want to focus on doing sequels. And it's like, that's not going to work. Disney. Like you guys have turned yourselves into like the sequel studio, and what you're going to have to start trying again. Like, because kids don't care about the 38th Marvel movie, dog. Like, some do, but most of them feel like it's their dad's show now, right? Like, oh yeah, the old, it's for old people, it's for old heads. I'm new and young, right? It's for unks
like us.
God, it's for unks like us. Jesus, Andy, unks like us. Yeah.
So Star Wars is an interesting thing. That's totally been fumbled by Disney, but also, it's just old. It's literally your grandpa's IP.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about myself here because so when I growing up in the 90s, Star Wars used to come on TV all the time on TNT. You could always catch part of it. But at that point, you only had to watch 3 movies if you wanted to be into Star Wars. There was nothing else. It was just, go watch the original 3. That's it. And they weren't that far in the past. Then we get, when I was a teenager and going into college, then we get the prequel trilogy. And a lot of younger people actually grew up on those, and they're kind of beloved, even though they're really bad. And then, of course, we get the sequel trilogy, and that's when I was like in my early 30s. And so I've kind of grown up with this, but if you weren't that generation, you eventually had to like start more and more. Like if you're 10 or 15 right now, where would you start someone on Star Wars? It's like impossible. Here, kid, go watch 11 films and 10 TV shows. It's kind of impossible. And like I said, it is kind of your grandpa's IP.
Yeah. And you're, not only are you right about Star Wars, but like Disney has been taking less risks and trying new things. And like that's created a lot of space in the marketplace for other companies to jump in. Minecraft was huge. You got kids screaming in the theater for Minecraft, right? Not a Disney project. Netflix has K-pop Demon Hunters out right now. Like you got kids screaming in the theaters. Again, another children's animated feature that Disney has no part in. Even like the stuff that has been successful without kids screaming in the theater, right? Like DreamWorks got that Puss in Boots movie off the ground. Huge success. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Insane success. Like, God, DreamWorks put out Bad Guys 2, which didn't do that good, but like even that is an original IP with a unique style that is doing something new and different that like, I don't know. Like Disney is not involved in any of these things anymore. And like, on the one hand, yeah, they want to focus on building more Star Wars, right? And make 6 shows for Disney Plus, which Andy's right, like has hurt them so bad, dog. Like Disney Plus has set them back in such a weird way. It has brought in so much money and also so much heartbreak. But additionally, like they just seem to be so risk averse. Like, and that doesn't work that good, especially when you're doing these giant budgets for big features that have to pay off. Indiana Jones, amazing example, right? Indiana Jones is the kind of thing that should be appealing to boys. And they spent like $350 million making a James Mangold feature. It doesn't work and lost money. And now they're talking about Pirates of the Caribbean again. Like that's going to dig you out. Like, I don't know, guys. Like the sequel studio's stuck in sequel mode, right? They're stun locked. They can't get out of it. They don't know how to like make something new and exciting, or at least get a property that can help them get to something new and exciting. It's strange.
Yeah. Pirates of the Caribbean is already, again, your dad's IP. Yeah. The Indiana Jones is hilarious because so this article mentions that Disney was really hoping that the new Indiana Jones movie from the 5th one from a couple years ago was going to excite Gen Z boys. And I was like, are you kidding me? Again, 10-year-old, watch these 4 really kind of disturbing Indiana Jones films and hope they're excited for the 5th one. It's again your grandpa's IP. So it's. Yeah, what are you guys thinking? This kind of points to Disney's lack of innovation, of creating new and exciting properties. I also wanted to mention that we watched Red Letter Media came out with about an hour-long video kind of talking about what is the deal with Star Wars right now. And one of their big points was that Disney is so scared of their audience and they cater to like the super fans that we get all this lore right and we try to please them. And they're never pleased, but also that's such a small segment of the population, and in like general audiences is just you're not catering to the larger general audience, and that's where your bread and butter is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's just no big moments anymore, right? Like Darth Vader's never cutting Luke's hand off, and if he is, no one's ever really gone, so everything's soft, right? And like that's what I think people associate it with, right? Like over time, kids grow up and they learn that like this is a studio for babies, right? You make stuff for babies. That's who this is for. And like fortunately, Disney has like ESPN for now. Right, like where they're still able to get a lot of male oriented audiences engaging with their brand and their products, right? Like sports obviously is huge, no problems over there. But yeah, I think you guys just gotta you're gonna have to take more risks. I don't understand why the company with the biggest war chest in the world is opposed to this. Like I just feel like everybody's scared of losing their job. And when you boil it down to it, that's ultimately who these people are. These are people going to work just like you and me that make these decisions, who are answering email and are stressed by text messages and having to decide, hey, what am I greenlighting this year? It's something that if it kind of flops, I'm still guaranteed to have a job, or should we take a huge risk and I will immediately be fired and lose everything and have to move my family across the country to find something new if it goes wrong? And they're going to go for the risk averse one. Like this is just how it do, right? That's just business. But I think that there's got to be a pivot strategy. And I think that pivot has to start with, hey, y'all, let's do some weird stuff. Like let's do some odd stuff. We can afford it. Apple loses $100 million a year or something on Apple TV Plus. Like they are losing money greenlighting Severance, and Severance is probably going to win a bunch of Emmys this year. They are losing money letting Martin Scorsese make Killers of the Flower Moon, and people think it's one of the best movies ever made. Like you gotta come on. This is how we do now. This is business. This is big business. You gotta be willing to lose some money. Like it's like they're too scared.
Right. It's interesting that in a couple of years, we're going to get the Zelda movie. And we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago where they've cast very young actors. The boy playing Link is like 16 and the girl's a few years older. But as opposed to like adults playing superheroes or older adults even playing superheroes, you got kid actors playing kids. And I was like, that's going to be a hit because kids they will see themselves on screen, and that's the kind of thing that like Disney just needs to develop. And I promise you, there's no shortage of authors and creatives out there that have worlds and universes they've developed. Or just you need to invest in some video game properties. That's kind of the big new wave, and people have been saying that for a while. That as superhero fatigue is kind of set in, that the next big IP are all these video game adaptations that we're about to be flooded with.
Oh, dude, we were just talking about this the other day. The video game adaptations are coming. A24 is making a Death Stranding movie with Hideo Kojima, and Alex Garland's doing Elden Ring, right? Like they're coming. Legend of Zelda. Disney should get in on it, man. Start lighting it up. Get that Kingdom Hearts movie out. That'll fix it. that'll solve everything. That's what we need. No, Kingdom Hearts is still your dad's property, so no, that's not going to work either. Either way, I don't know. Like, there's real efforts they've made at this. I can't just say they've done nothing. They tried to make Lightyear, and then they bailed on that, and they tried to make Strange World the year before that, and then they bailed on that. I don't know how you get out of this one, guys. But you got to get the tire spinning, and that means you're gonna throw some mud, and that's okay because you can afford to because you're Disney. So don't be scared. Just light up some properties, and for God's sake, stop trying to make $300 million movies every time. Fantastic Four was a fantastic flop. All right, that thing barely made its money back. It's obvious. The rest of us know it. That's Disney. Any other thoughts on this before we move on to Eeny Meeny, Andy?
I think I'm ready.
Well, let's do it, man. You're gonna be taking the summary on this one, so I will get out of your way. Please take it away.
Eeny Meeny,